Okay, this is round 2 to try and get my drawing to transfer onto the canvas. So I'm using wax paper right now, but I really recommend tracing paper. I just didn't have any on hand, and wax paper is transparent enough that you can use it like tracing paper. Okay, so I trace around the piece of the paper because I'm going to cut the wax paper to the same size as the paper, because that is the same size as my canvas. So I just want to make sure everything matches up. That's just a Sharpie marker then that I'm tracing all of the outlines. And I get it a little bit more simplified than the detailed drawing was. Just the big light shape and shadow shape is what I'm going for. Okay, so now to do the actual transfer part, I have black paint that I'm putting down on my palette right now. And then that tube is raw umber. So I just want to make a mixture using those two colors that are pretty even in between them, of the black and the raw umber. And this is the same paint that I'm going to be using for the wash too. I'm going to use that same exact mixture. And then I flip the paper over because you want to make sure that you're doing the transfer part on the back of the tracing paper. And I don't know if the problem last time, part of it why I didn't transfer is because maybe I used too much turpentine, even though I really only had my brush in the turpentine just a little bit. But I'm using a really small amount, and you can see I kind of just dabbed it off the side of the palette to not get it in the paint. So when I'm mixing the turpentine in, it is a really small amount, and this time I'm putting the paint on a little bit thicker too than I did last time. I just kind of wanted to make sure that I covered all my bases, to make sure that this transfer turned out how it normally does, since last time it didn't work as well as planned. Okay, so now putting it back onto the canvas, and so the paint now is in between the canvas and the wax paper. So I'm going to tape that up there, and another reason why it's really good to use tracing paper is because the wax paper wasn't sticking to the tape so well, so I had to make sure that it wasn't moving around too much. And I know my head's in the way, but I'm using just a normal ballpoint pen to really push the trace over the lines, and it's pushing the paint onto the canvas to make nice thin lines. And you can't see it with the camera right now, but you can really see a difference between the thinner Sharpie marker between the thicker paint. So it's a little bit more accurate than that thick paint line that you can only see right now. And there is the transfer that was supposed to happen the first time. So yeah, it gives you a nice thin lines for the drawing. So now I'm doing the wash part, and I'm using just that same mixture of the black and the raw umber, and I always start in the darks first, because the goal with the wash is, even this early, to try and get a real sense of light as it does in the painting. So I start in the dark areas, and I'm going around the contrasted areas first, which is that upper chest part, and then I'll work into the shadows on the figure as well. And really in that paint mixture, there might be a little bit of turpentine in it from what I mixed to do the to do the transfer part, but I really don't like using turpentine in the wash so much. I don't know if I should or not. So it's mostly just the paint without any medium or dry or anything in it. And you can see I'm kind of getting different effects by either how much paint is on my brush, but a lot of it too is the pressure that I apply, if it's going to be darker or softer. Because see, going up the legs right there, it's softer with I know when I was doing that, it was just a little bit of pressure just to get it kind of dusted over. And then I have another smaller brush now to get into the more detail work. I kind of prefer to do everything with as big of a brush as I can, because I feel like you can get just a lot more done. I don't know why the tendency is to, like, when you have a small brush you stay with it instead of moving to a bigger one, so I always try and stay with the big brush as long as I can. But and then also what's also really good to do is when you're doing a wash, even though you kind of have, when you start off with just the outlines from that transfer drawing, you shouldn't be blindly just filling things in. It's not like a paint by number. It's not a paint by number. You should keep trying to make everything as accurate as possible. Kind of always when you do transfer drawing anyways, it's not going to be as perfect as your original drawing when you transfer it. So lines might have shifted a little bit, so always try and like really pay attention and to get things as accurate as possible. Whenever you don't see my brush or my head in frame, I'm stepping back for a while and really comparing the painting to my painting and making sure I'm getting everything as close as I can. And so I have a big brush that you saw on the brush that I'm using right now. I also have another brush that is a really, really stiff bristle brush, and I keep that one clean and it's dry, doesn't have any paint on it, and I'll use that to if I put paint down and it got too far into a light area or something like that, like I made a mistake, I'll take that brush to really scrub the paint back away. And it's usually not perfect, like you'll still see some paint down, but I'll do that to try and kind of fix the mistakes, to like make a light shape bigger if I need to or something like that. But so I'm just trying to get the real impression of the original painting right now with the first wash. And so I do that by, you know, getting all the shadows down, but then also really paying attention to the quality of line everywhere, making sure that the lines are soft where they should be and they're as soft as they should be. And you can see really in the original drawing there is, or the original painting, excuse me, there's really not that much sharp lines, and it's kind of hard in the early stages to get soft lines, but I always try my best because you want to just make it as close as possible every go that you have on it for every layer. So yeah, I know right now I can see them softening up the lines and darkening things that need to be darkened. And it's pretty cool with just one mixture of paint that you can do a lot to get it to kind of have a sense of light on it already, and to get it, you know, pretty close to the original. So it's a really good starting point then to later on add your first thick layer of paint to it. And so the brush that I'm using right now, that's the one that I'm trying to scrub paint away to fix a light shape. And then I'm kind of going back everywhere just to like get things as dark as they need to be, because I want to make sure that there's a fairly good difference between the background and the shadows. Okay, so those are the brushes that I used, and then the palette with that one color of paint. Thanks for watching.